It's fairly well known to both Muslims and non-Muslims that the eating of pig products such as pork, ham and bacon are forbidden for Muslims. But have you ever wondered why this was the case? Where did the ruling come from, and is there any logical reason behind it? Well, today I'm going to be taking you through all of that. Let's get started. Assalamu alaikum everyone, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to Raise Your Deen. My name is Shahrukh, and on this channel I talk about Islam and give advice on how to maintain a modern Muslim life. And today we're talking about why pork is haram. In fact, the Qur'an prohibits the consumption of pork and flesh of swine in no less than 4 different verses. For example, in one of the verses it mentions, "Forbidden to you to eat are the dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and that on which has been invoked the name of other than Allah." And I'll put up the other 3 verses on screen with their references so you can pause the video and take a look at them if you wish. You'll notice that in the verse from chapter 6 it specifically mentions pork or flesh of swine as being impure or unclean, and I'll talk a bit more about why that's the case later on. But for any Muslims watching, these verses are in and of themselves enough reason, enough excuse to continue avoid eating pork. However, as an interesting side note, the Quran is not the only holy text to prohibit pork. In fact, pork is also forbidden in the Bible. And it's specifically mentioned in verses from the book of Leviticus as well as the book of Deuteronomy. And I'll put those verses up on screen at the moment so that you can have a look at those as well. Just pause the video if you want to have a closer look. And the reason I'm highlighting this is to show that Islam is not the only religion to forbid pork. In fact, all 3 Abrahamic religions, Islam, Christianity and Judaism, all prohibit the consumption of pork and pig meat. Moving on, you probably already knew that pork was forbidden in the Quran, but the question you might be asking yourself at this point is, why? Why can't we eat bacon, ham, pork? Is there any specific logical reasons that we humans can understand for this? Unfortunately, pig meat and pork, bacon, ham are associated with a wide variety of disease, infections and viruses, and I'll talk a little bit about those just now. Firstly, pork is known to commonly contain parasitic worm infections like roundworms, pinworms and hookworms. These usually make their homes in the pig's stomach and then make their way to the pig's muscles, and when humans eat the meat of the pig, they are transmitted to humans. One of the most dangerous types of worms that commonly infects pork and pigs is known as tapeworms, or Taenia solium, which you might have heard of. Tapeworms are disgusting creatures. They harbour the intestines once they've reached humans, and then they can spread their eggs to the bloodstream, and then from the bloodstream the eggs can spread to the brain, which might cause memory loss. It can spread to the liver, might cause damage there. It can spread to the heart. Another example is of the Yersinia bacterium, and the only way to safeguard against these particular parasites, these infections, is through proper cooking. And internal temperatures of roughly 145 degrees to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'll convert to Celsius on screen just now, is considered roughly appropriate for trying to decimate the bacteria. Even when pork is cooked well, the eggs don't always die. In fact, the Center for Disease Control in America, or the CDC, recommends not only thorough cooking of the pork, but also freezing to try and kill off all the potential parasites and infections. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't feel good about eating a meat where I need to cook it in such a specific manner and to try and kill off all the parasites and infections that might exist in it. Pork is also linked to other viruses and even cancers. As well as the worms, pig meat also brings an unhealthy amount of other potential viruses. And by avoiding pork, we also avoid the risk of contracting these other viruses. I put them on screen just now as a list, and references are in the description below. Each of these viruses has the potential to cause serious health problems that can last for years to come. And now perhaps we should talk about the elephant in the room, not the pig. And that is cancer. The World Health Organization has reported that red processed meats can cause cancer in humans. And by processed meats, we're talking about ham, bacon, hot dogs. Notice the trend here, they're all pig-derived pork products. And recent research has shown that eating just 50 grams of processed meats a day could increase your risk of bowel cancer by roughly 18%. Meanwhile, in the UK, the NHS recommends that you limit your processed red meat consumption to under 70 grams a day, which happens to be the average daily consumption in the UK. But ideally, you should eat even less than this, with the BBC Good Food magazine recommending that you limit your intake to only once every 2 weeks. Again, references in the description below. One of those viruses on screen just now, and perhaps the most commonly known about, is hepatitis E virus. It's commonly found in undercooked or uncooked pork meat. pork liver is the top food-based transmitter of hepatitis E virus, a virus that infects 20 million people each year and can lead to symptoms including fever, fatigue, jaundice, joint pain and stomach pain, as well as potential liver failure and even death. Moving on from all that nasty stuff, another problem is that pork is just full of fat. And especially the processed red meat stuff that you find in supermarkets. Everyone wants to be fit and healthy these days. Everyone's wanting to go to the gym. Everyone wants to keep fit and healthy. Some of you might even want muscles or a flat stomach, and that is made much harder if you consume pork regularly. Processed pork is the downfall of muscles and abs. It has very little muscle building material and lots of fat content, especially the processed stuff. Not to mention that the fats that it does contain are majority made up of saturated, unhealthy fats. And these types of fats are unhealthy because they can lead to clogging up of your arteries with cholesterol. And this can lead to high blood pressure and the risk of a heart attack in the future. Ham, pork and bacon strips all tend to go to the belly and the waistline, making you look rounder. And so to make sure that you're getting your protein in a healthy way, try alternative sources, fish, other meat like chicken, and even vegetarian sources like beans and legumes. Another reason not to eat pigs is that pigs are just dirty animals by nature. They thrive on muck, feces, dirt. In villages where they don't have proper sanitation or hygiene, pigs will very often be used to clear the excrement. Even in countries with hygienic and clean conditions, pigs are very often kept tightly packed in sties, which are very dirty. They'll very often eat their own excrement as well as their neighbour's excrement. Speaking of excrement, pigs produce a whole lot of it. According to the PETA organization, 5,000 pigs would produce as much fecal matter as a city of 50,000 humans. To get around pollution regulations, factory farms that contain pigs will often take tons of urine and feces that are made by these pigs and turn them into liquid waste and then spray that waste into the air, and then this manure-filled mist is carried off into the nearby towns and villages, inhaled by the people that live nearby. Another reason not to eat pigs are the factory farm conditions. It's estimated that 97% of the pigs in America are raised in factory farms, and these pigs will never live a life of wide open pastures, fresh air. If you're a pork eater, you should know that these pigs that you're eating from have spent all of their lives in crowded warehouses with no fresh air, no exercise, getting stuffed full of drugs designed to make them fatter, keep them breathing. Often the pigs become crippled under their own excessive weight gain. The conditions are honestly disgusting. Do these sound like conditions that promote the healthy farming of healthy meats? Of course not, which is why you should avoid pork and other factory farm meats. I also went looking for some hadith about pigs or flesh of swine. Although this hadith that I found is not specifically about pigs, it does liken pigs to another sinful activity, gambling. Just showing or demonstrating once again that eating pigs is sinful. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As said that someone who plays dice is like a person who eats pig meat. Someone who plays it without betting is like someone who washes his hands in paint. Now, just to clarify that although it's pretty clear that pig meat, pork is forbidden to eat, that doesn't mean that pigs themselves should be abolished or gotten rid of. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed these creatures, has placed pigs on the earth for a reason, and it's not our place to try and harm Allah's creature. And this can be seen by another hadith, that it would be unlawful to harm dogs or pigs without just cause. And I'll show that hadith on screen just now. So it's important to remember that the main reason that Muslims do not eat pork is that it is specifically forbidden in the Qur'an. There are multiple verses that say so, and we should follow the commandments of Allah. And then aside from a religion, from a purely health perspective, if you want to look at logic and fact, pig meat, pork, bacon, ham all have many health problems associated with them. Strict temperatures in terms of their cooking, they need to be vetted and handled properly. So this is likely why the Bible and Quran have both forbidden their followers from eating meat from pigs, pork, bacon, ham, other processed foods that relate to pigs. There are many better meat alternatives. Your health is too precious to sacrifice for some temporarily sated taste buds. One thing that I will mention is that there is one time that pork would be allowed to eat, and that is a time of necessity when you have no other choice. It's a matter of life and death, and there is no intention to sin. In that case, it might be permissible to eat pork. Allahu alam, Allah knows best. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. May Allah forgive me for any mistakes that I have made. Jazakallah khair for watching. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.